Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our virtual field trip for today. I think it's day 19 for these field trips, actually. And I'm Chris. I'm just up in our upper garden, and I don't know if you can see there, but there's a deer looking right at me. Maybe we can get a little bit closer, get a better look at it. You can see its ears are busy paying attention to everything happening around us right now. That is pretty darn cool. A little closer still. There you are. Hello. Good morning. I love those big ears. We have a lot of deer around us here. A lot of the orchards and vineyards and farms put up deer fences to keep the deer out. And what that means is that the deer that do come through tend to come through and all be in the same spots. And we happen to be one of those corridors they pass through all the time. So there you go. How neat is that? Anyways, it looks like he's heading off, not particularly interested in having anything to do with me today. So welcome to our upper garden. We've been doing a lot of work here lately, getting crops in the ground. That's what I actually wanted to talk about today, is looking at some of the things we've got going on up here. Now, it's not a bright sunny day today, not like it has been over the last few days. I'm just going to put some things down here. I don't think I need my hat either. So, yeah. Over the last few days, we've been really getting this ready and putting in a few lines of things. You might be able to see there. There's a few lines just starting up. Some things we start early in the greenhouse. We've actually visited the greenhouse on a couple of previous field trips. Nothing that's in the greenhouse that we started is getting ready to go out yet. It needs much warmer weather. But for example, right here we've got some lettuce that we started in the greenhouse and have now planted. If we go over a ways, we have some cabbage. Little red cabbage right there. And then some other cabbages and broccolis behind it. And then we even have some wee baby things here. So right here, we've got some little tiny Swiss chard in different colors. And then we've got rows for spinach and lettuce and lots of other things. Well, one of the things that I love about this time of year is seeing things start to appear, come out of the ground. It's reassuring after a long winter and looking at snow and looking at brown to have the green suddenly coming out and blossoms appearing on the trees and things springing out of your dirt. So just to take a closer look again here. So for example, right here, we have a nice long row of radishes. One of the reasons to make sure we plant them in a nice straight row is it becomes really easy to tell what's a radish and what's a weed. When everything's small like this, it can be really hard to tell the difference. But as the weeds start to grow, you'll lose the radishes if they're not all in a nice straight row. Same thing with our beets that are just ever so slightly starting to come up now. You can just barely start to see the little beets there. But looking at that, you would know which of those green things is a weed and which of those is a beet. But when you get back and you look, you can start to tell by the line. Now, what else do we have here? We've got some turnips here too. And again, they're just getting started. Nice long straight row. And so that makes the weeding much easier. Now, one of my favorite tools for doing weeding, especially when things are at this stage, is something called a Swedish hoe. A Swedish hoe is obviously just a long stick with a special tool at the end of it. Now I'm going to twist it around here so that we can see it better. Now this tool right here, first of all, this part is quite sharp on both sides. So I rub this across the ground. And what it does is it cuts the roots of any of the weeds or anything like that that happen to be getting in the way. Think of it kind of like a baby weed eraser. But it also, to make it a little more efficient, it actually has a little bit of movement here. And that way when I'm pulling it, it changes its angle just a little bit. When I'm pushing it, it changes its angle just a little bit. Back and forth like that. And that just helps it attack those weeds better. So let me show you how that works. All right, so here's my hoe, my Swedish hoe, and all I need to do is just run it back and forth like that. And it's basically just a giant weed eraser. I don't actually want to do too much. I've already done quite a bit, but you can see it just keeps the soil roughed up and disturbs all those little babies along the way. We don't want to get into our row of radishes here or anything else, but just a quick little rough up will keep the weeds down. Now that's one way, especially at the beginning, to keep the weeds at bay. Another way to keep the weeds at bay is to be very careful with your watering. And so not so much in this garden because we're going old-fashioned, but in lots of market gardens, you can control where the weeds are by controlling where your water is. And so you just water right near the rows where your vegetables are. You can also use different kinds of blockers to block the weeds from coming up, because if they don't get access to sunshine when they're sprouting, you're not going to get as many weeds. And so you'll see sometimes farmers will put black plastic down and then punch holes in it and put their plants that they're trying to grow inside the black plastic. The black plastic does lots of important good things. It holds the water in so that when you water it doesn't evaporate. It blocks the weeds, and it also helps keep things warmer because, of course, that black plastic is going to warm up. It's going to warm up the soil underneath. And most plants like a good lot of warmth. Helps them grow better. So that's something that can help you. Now, we're not going to be using anything like that. Instead, we've got a big pile way at the other end here, and I'll walk over to it. And it's something that we use instead. You see, you can use almost anything to block those weeds, as long as it's something that isn't going to grow its own seeds. That's why we wouldn't want to use something like hay, because hay is full of seeds and would cause problems. But what if we took something almost like hay, but that didn't have any seeds in it? And that's what we use. We use a little something called straw. Now, straw is just the stems. There we go. So there's no weeds. There shouldn't be many weed seeds in here, or seeds of any kind. But this is going to work really, really well to block around the plants. So as the season progresses, we'll put this straw around our tomatoes, around our cucumbers, around our melons. Not only does it help protect from the weeds, it also does a lot to hold in moisture and things like that. So this stuff right here, I'm going to bring into my garden right now and actually put it around one of my cabbage plants right there. So just by giving it a little bed, let's put it right here. Just by putting it around, obviously we're going to want it thicker than that. It's hard to do with one hand. But that's going to help that plant grow, keep the weeds down. Eventually this straw is all going to decompose and add more food to the soil. But in the meantime, it's going to help block the weeds, and this guy's going to do even better because of it. Now we just have to do all the rest all the way down the row. Now there are a few more rows that aren't in this section that I'd love to show you real quick here. This one I'm pleased about because they're still little, they're still baby, but onions. And there very long rows of little baby onions. Those are going to be beautiful red onions when we're done. The other thing we've got next door is 3 trenches full of potatoes. The potatoes are put in the bottom of the trench. We put a little bit of dirt over them till they sprout. And once the green leaves come up above the soil, then slowly we'll keep putting more of the dirt into the trenches and keep covering them up. And by hilling up the dirt around the plants, it's going to give us more potatoes. Now, if you had the right equipment and a tractor, you could actually just bury your potatoes not very deep at all and keep hilling and make hills. But for us, it's easier to make a trench and slowly fill in the trench instead. So we've got lots of other things that we're hoping to plant in this garden over the next little while. We've got leeks, we've got pumpkins, we've got cucumbers, we've got loofah. I'm not sure if you're familiar with loofah sponges. It's actually a kind of squash almost, that when you dry it, the inside, the guts, are a nice scrubby sponge. And so we're going to be growing a bunch of those this year. Now, this is an area that we're just starting to open up. Behind me, I've already got, let's see here, I've already got a row of old grapevines somebody else gave us a couple years ago. Those are going to start to come up soon. We've got strawberries, a row of strawberries right here. Those are also going to get straw around them pretty soon. Why do you think they're called strawberries? And then the entire rest of the area, which we still need to till a few more times before it's ready, it's going to be where our pumpkins and things like that go. So anyways, that's just a quick little visit of our upper garden today. We've got some exciting things we're doing for the rest of the week. With a little luck, if my trip into town today is successful, I hope to make ginger ale tomorrow. Show you a real simple recipe to make your own ginger ale at home. And then we're going to go from there. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning into our virtual field trip today. Please make sure you spread the word and tell other people about it. The more people that see these, the better for us and hopefully for everybody. And yeah, we've got other announcements we're going to make soon, but we're going to save those for another day. So thank you again so much. My name is Chris. I run the grist mill here in Karamias in the beautiful Similkameen Valley, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.